listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Review. It's the Online Sports Guys College Football Podcast featuring us, the Online Sports Guys, or at least three of us, Brother Marty, me, Brother Phil, him, Brother Nelson, joining us from beautiful Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Guys, gotta love college football when the chaos theory kicks in.
Yeah. Where's Jeff Goldblum when you need him, right? Resident chaotician.
No undefeated SEC champion this year?
There is nothing more fun than when nobody really knows who the best team is in college football this year. And outside of maybe the Oregon Ducks, which I'm still not 100% sold on being the dominant team, there is no dominant team in college football. Everybody's really good, but nobody's great. It ain't that fun.
Undefeated's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Not a lot of other people can say it.
Yeah.
Undefeated means different things for different teams. Just ask the Miami Hurricanes, who had been skating by most of the season as they got off to a fast start. Started off 9-0 with a whole bunch of games that they would win either in sometime in the fourth quarter and in a couple of cases on the last series of the game.
With the help of their striped shirt, they did a MVP.
That did not happen this week as they made the trip up to Atlanta to take on Georgia Tech in a game somebody who's doing a lot of talking right now may have predicted this. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets downing Miami, knocking them from the ranks of undefeated 28-23 in an impressive performance by the Ramblin' Wreck.
That was not on my bingo card.
No, absolutely not. And
I love it happening, but
yeah, I mean, you had your two quarterbacks, Haynes King and Aaron Philo, combined for 99, one less than 100, 99 total yards passing.
One more than 98.
That's absolutely true. On your way to 100, but 100's too many. You had 99 yards of total passing. You
99
ran
problems, 100 ain't one.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. 99 problems and the pitch ain't one. Is that what you're saying, Marty?
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So you end up with 271 on the ground, 8 different rushers on the day. And everybody might, I think, Phil, you were looking at this one as the absolute letdown game where you have a big win and then you're 9-0. And then you go sidling into a team that's kind of okay, 5-4 going in. And it's a chance to go and get bit, and you got bit. And so I still think on some level, Cam Ward gets invited to the OSG Sports party at the end of the year to determine the best athlete in college football. He's part of that front row for us.
You want to be there because we're going to have s'mores.
I know. And so
nothing tops that.
Absolutely. And other than Miami losing, maybe. Did I say that out loud? As the guy who's 1-9.
You won't lose this coming week.
Yes. So I mean, it was a sandwich game, and Miami got bit.
Yeah, Georgia Tech put on an impressive performance. I said it last week, and we'll say it again. They're one of those teams that are kind of a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
Not great. They've got flaws. They're not going to win a championship. But they're a team you don't necessarily want to play because when they're at their best and everything's clicking, they can beat you if you're not on your game. And that's exactly what happened here.
Pesky.
And speaking of teams not on their game, and also with the similar result, the Ole Miss Rebels get their first win in pretty much forever against a top 5 team. They downed the Georgia Bulldogs 28-10. In a game that ended up in total and complete chaos at the very end.
No.
When the students kind of stormed the field before the game ended.
Yeah.
Quick, pretend you're a squirrel.
Yes.
I got to give Lane Kiffin credit. They said no fake injuries. Then all of a sudden he turns around, unleash the squirrel. I just want to know who that was on a bench that was scared of the squirrel. It looked like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. He's like hopping up on the chair.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on now. I
all, I,
mean,
all I can think of is the movie Up and Doug the dog going, squirrel.
yes, true. And that was the student body for jumping in 16 seconds ahead of time before the match was before the game was over. So I mean, it was. I mean, I know that there was some initial fear slash trepidation when Jackson, extra small, went out with an injury, and then Austin Simmons came in, went 5 of 6. So the offense didn't miss a beat on the day. Jackson Dart threw for 199.
Simmons
Yeah, I
just
mean,
right down the field, boom, 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 boom.
yeah, Dart finished 199, 1-1. And you look at signature wins. You got a signature win for Georgia Tech going up against Miami. I think it's safe to say that this one for Lane Kiffin is one of those where you draw yourself closer to that 12, and Georgia's putting itself closer to being on the road in that 12 when you get into the postseason tournament. So it's that ain't nothing wrong with chaos. And you held Georgia to 59 yards on the ground. And that's obviously something you got to talk about too with that defense. Pinning them in for less than 60 yards on the day, running the football. And that's been a staple of Kirby Smart offenses.
When's the last time that happened?
1872.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be leather or no helmets.
Correct.
Or both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was impressive. That really was the story of the game. Is not so much how good Ole Miss played on offense, but the fact that their defense just completely shut down. I wouldn't say great. Probably wouldn't even say a very good, just a slightly above average Georgia offense.
5 sacks, 9 TFLs, 4 fumbles, half of them lost by Georgia. That speaks volumes for that defense.
Yeah. And who would have thought going into the season that the story of a big game for Lane Kiffin would be about his defense and not his offense?
Welcome to the SEC in 2024, anyway.
Yeah, I mean that was always what bit Ole Miss in the ass when it came to their big games, is their defense would always kind of roll over whenever they played a big team, and that didn't happen this time around.
Yeah, Saban leaves and everybody in the SEC takes a dip.
Indeed. Your number one team going into the week leaves the week number one, the Oregon Ducks. They host the Maryland Terrapins. Easy win for them, 39-18. They do what they need to do. Dylan Gabriel becomes the Division I all-time touchdown leader, which
He might do it again next week too.
And it was a fat guy touchdown too.
Yes.
Which is kind of fair to say that Gabriel got that title after his 12th year in college football. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah. Him, TJ Daniels, Cam Rising, who else is in their 12th season of eligibility? I mean, that's a good starting point, but do we invite Dylan Gabriel to the postseason s'mores extravaganza now?
Hey,
can you reach and open that door?
You play enough years, you're going to eventually get a record or two.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably will get an invite. I don't know that I would invite him, but it's
right.
Not me.
And that's why I asked, do we invite him to our s'mores extravaganza as opposed to everybody else?
Maybe.
We can do what we want. There's no
True, because it's our s'mores extravaganza. And that's why I was asking.
I say no.
For me, it's kind of hard to get.
Just like Emmitt Smith getting the rushing record. He was getting like 3 yards a game in Arizona with nobody watching.
Franco Harris is a Seahawk.
With a walker.
Son, hey! Sorry. Dog issues here at the house.
Nothing wrong with that.
Have your production assistant take care of that dog.
I mean, come on now. But I thought the dog was the production assistant. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, there's three.
You've got wandering interns.
All three of them.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
I digress.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon takes care of business. They look to be, if not close to have already basically clinched a spot in the college football playoff and in the Big Ten championship game. The question only of that being, who will they play? The number 2 team, according to the rankings going into the game, the Ohio State Buckeyes, they take care of business rather easily with a 45-0 win over Purdue.
I like the so the fill-in guard on the left side. He goes down, and everybody in the state of Ohio collectively puckered, and they go on the sideline, and you hear him say thank God for the manufacture of that knee thing, and he ends up back in the game. So
Yeah.
there's a collective release shortly after when he went back in the game.
Yeah. There's a reason that they called them Perdon't this year, and I think that this was another example of that.
Yeah, but going into that game, Purdue is always good for knocking off a top 5 team like every other year or so when they have no business doing so.
But it's usually in Lafayette though. Like a game that's, early sunset, late kick, the big bass drum has snow that they've got to clear off the top of it, and they've got to get like the ladder out so they can take the brush,
They still got the habit of being the light at the end of the tunnel is the Purdue train that's on that logo.
Correct.
Yeah,
Absolutely true.
That's also those also are during seasons where they are at least competitive, and in this season they ain't so competitive at 1-8.
No.
Sticking with the Big Ten, it's shaping up to be Oregon, and then the winner of the Ohio State Indiana game, because Indiana goes to 10-0 after they squeak by Michigan 20-15 at home. Curtis Rourke 17 for 28, 206 and a couple touchdowns. Now that's somebody that I would like to invite to our s'mores presentation.
Oh, he's Big Ten Coach of the Year already.
Absolutely.
On the opposite end of that spectrum,
Marty Kirk,
you got a team that can't throw. Why are you trying to tie the game throwing the ball?
Marty, I should also mention that Indiana coach Kirk Cignetti is spelled Cignetti with a C.
Mm-hmm. Davis Warren, 16 to 32 for $137 on the day, and they had 69 yards net rushing on 34 carries. So 2 yards a carry on the ground. And Davis Warren, 16 completions for 137 yards. I'm trying to do 32 into 137 quickly.
It was 2 different games. In the first half, it looked like they were going to blow them out.
4.5 yards an attempt for Davis Warren, basically.
Check down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's definitely a check down Charlie.
Yes, he is. Another team that rolled this week, the Texas Longhorns host the Florida Gators.
And Napier's coming back. Well,
I like when I saw the highlights, they open up with 11 players on the injured list. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Quinn Ewers, 5 touchdown passes, 19 for 27, 333. An easy win. And really the question that you walk away from this game is are the Florida faithful going to stand for Billy Napier coming back?
They ain't got no choice. It's probably the buyout clause that's too big. I know of what they speak and what they have to endure. I can't believe I'm commiserating with folks down the freeway.
Yeah, the Gators down to their third string quarterback, a walk-on who played the end of the game against Georgia. He had no chance.
Mm-mm.
So they did at least cobble together 17 points in the second half.
I mean, it was 35-0 at the half. I'm sure that Sark was basically like, okay, what can we do to get out of here? All right, run the ball.
Yeah, backup guys come play.
210 on the ground and 352 in the air. When Arch Manning is 3 of 6 for 19 yards, after Quinn Ewers goes for 333 and 5, that's the kind of day you had. Here, Arch, hand the ball off. Get out of town.
Let's run the clock. Speaking of SEC teams in the top 10, the Tennessee Volunteers coming into week number 7. They cruise over Mississippi State 33-14. The big storyline there, Nico Iamaleava only played didn't even make it through the end of the first half of the game. He got dinged up in the second quarter. They made the decision to go ahead and have him sit for the rest of the game because Tennessee travels to Athens next week to take on the University of Georgia.
I am Maliaba, 8 of 13, 174 and 2. Gaston Moore completed it, 5 of 8 for 38 yards. Basically, 20-7 at the break, 30-14 after 3. Run the damn ball, Bobo, and get out of town against the 2-17 coming in.
Well, Dylan Sampson carried the ball 30 times for 149 yards and a touchdown. That's really the story of your game right there.
Yeah,
That should be a fun game this week.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Staying in the top 10, probably the most exciting and dramatic finish to a game this week. BYU somehow manages to end up beating Utah 22-21 on a 44-yard field goal at the end of the game that arguably left a very sour taste in the mouth of the Utah fans and coaches.
They say the coach's post-game comments were interesting about being unhappy in the Big 12.
And how the referees suck.
Somebody's getting a fine this week.
That's an envelope. And the thing is that they didn't even wait until the game was that they were off the field, because you had coaches confronting officials and the coaches had to be restrained. And these are assistant coaches and dudes that are like on the personnel chain, not like head coaches who would eventually wander out onto the field and do this, and this to the head referee. I mean, it was, and this was, Holy War was a game, I want to say it was 3.5 hours, because it wrapped up a little after 2 a.m. Eastern time. Why do I know this? Because I watched the end of it. And it literally, it was such engrossing television that you're sitting there going, what is going on here? And then you have everything happen at the end where the BYU had the ball at the 2-yard line. Mm-hmm. Then you end up at the beginning of this drive. BYU has the ball at their own 2. Utah thinks that they've got a sack, if not, a
potential safety on Jake Wrexler.
Yeah, you get a potential safety, and everybody at Utah is celebrating. But then all of a sudden, there's a flag 25 yards downfield from the line of scrimmage, and they call defensive holding, and that kept the drive alive. So you get these kinds of moments, and the Utah coaching staff, they were blankety blanking and pointing fingers, and
when you got to have another coach pull back the get back coach, you know things are getting out of hand.
Yes, true.
Crazy finish in a game that's going to be probably talked about for some time. BYU remains undefeated. They're 9-0 and looking at a potential playoff berth if they keep going the way they are. Another team in the top 10, Notre Dame, number 10 going into the week. They play John's Seminoles 52-3. We really don't even need to talk about this because that's what happened.
John's disgusted and making my editing harder.
Yes. There's really nothing that can be said about a 52-3 game that needs to be discussed here.
You won't lose next week.
Disgusting, to quote Marshall Mathers. Absolutely.
Yes. And if you don't know the song we're referencing, please look it up.
Correct.
Moving on, Alabama traveled to Death Valley to take on LSU at night in Baton Rouge, and the legend of Red Stick came to a screeching halt. Alabama played arguably their best start-to-finish game of the season and knock off LSU 42-13. The story of the game, Jalen Milroe for Alabama, your quarterback, running the ball 12 times, 185 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Well, you got to hate it when LSU fans rush the parking lot. And nobody could drive home. That was the sad part. They all had to stay there for a while. Probably the longest Uber line you've ever seen in your life.
No, that's in Austin, Texas, after an Austin FC match.
I caught a little bit of this game, and Alabama just overwhelmed LSU, a team that's not nearly as good as their top 15 ranking kind of represented. They dropped to 6-3 on the season, 3-2 in the SEC, and can be pretty much ruled out of college football playoff contention at this point.
So does Jalen Milroe get invited to s'mores?
That game alone's kind of.
You could make that argument. It would be between him and Dylan Gabriel, I think, for that fifth spot.
Okay.
He did in like 6 less years, though. Not for nothing.
True. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. I grant you that one, sir. Yes. Half the time, same number of yards.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of award winners, your next game, the Boise State Broncos moved to 8-1 on the season. They take down Nevada 28-21 in a close game. And my favorite for the Heisman Trophy and also the winner for our award, Mr. Ashton Genty, 209 yards on 34 carries and 3 TDs.
Watch the highlights of that game and tell me he doesn't knock down one guy per run.
Oh, yeah. He's an incredibly talented young man.
He's got more yards after contact than most other running backs have total.
Period.
I mean, he's never tackled the first guy. I can't wait to see whoever they play in that first round. That seals his Heisman right there when he plays one of the big boys and he's doing the same stuff.
He's already played the big boys. Boise State barely losing to Oregon.
Well, if we take, and this is before the rankings come out, if it's a 5-12, they go to DKR to take on Texas.
That could be
must watch.
You like apples?
Woo.
That could be super interesting.
Sexy.
Oh man, let's start paying the referees to make that happen.
Oh yeah,
Mr. Genty, easily my favorite college football player of the 2024 season.
Yeah, him and Dylan Horvath for me.
A little bit of couple of upsets here in the bottom end of the top 20. Kansas knocks off Iowa State 45-36.
Yeah.
Kansas kind of fell off the map again this season.
Price is Right loser, Horn and Ames, no question. I mean, it was 31-13 at the half, and it wasn't that close. You look at the 9-point margin, and you're going, wow, this must have been a close game. It really wasn't.
No.
No. Not close.
Kansas really has struggled this year. They were expected to be a team to compete for the Big 12, and they just really got off to a slow start and never recovered. Honestly, it's a game that there weren't a whole lot of turnovers. There wasn't anything that really stood out other than Kansas dominating in time of possession. Everything else was pretty even, except for the fact that Kansas ended up with a whole lot more points.
Kansas needs to play all of their home games at GEHA Field now.
They might be able to make that happen.
Even after the renovation in Lawrence, they still need to play everything at GEHA.
Pittsburgh continues their tumble with their second straight loss. Virginia knocks them off in beautiful Pittsburgh, 24-19. I almost called them.
Couldn't happen to a nicer coach.
The Wahoos go to 5-4 on the season and have a pretty darn good chance at becoming bowl eligible before the season ends.
Kind of like Vandy.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a minute.
Who's already bowl eligible? For them,
can't take it away from them.
No, you can't. I mean, they'll
whatever
probably
bowl they're in. I'm watching it.
They'll probably go down the street and play at whatever the Franklin Mortgages, Music City, AmeriQuest, whatever the bowl game is. They'll probably just move them down the street.
Pedestal real quick. I just hate standing up on a soapbox. I just hate programs that just go down the street and then wonder why they have so many players leave. Yeah. If they offer you a nice place to travel to, reward your kids.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't say, the alumni want to go. Your alumni aren't going anyway if you're that kind of athletic program. Take care of your kids.
Did you see them playing in the Bahamas Bowl?
That would be interesting.
Hey, I know of a school that's not far away from me that turned down the Bahamas Bowl to play in Frisco.
Why?
Yeah. And then they were shocked at the amount of kids that transferred or decided they want to go to that school.
I would guess it had to do with travel costs.
And improving your bottom line by
Yeah.
traveling.
Okay, that short-term savings costs you in the long run when people don't go to your games, when players
Mhm,
don't come to your school. There's
mhm,
such a thing as penny wise and pound foolish,
mhm.
and that's the apex of it.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Oh yeah,
And
and get on a game that people will watch that isn't on the Ocho.
Pennywise, wasn't he the scary clown in it?
Well, see, scary clowns.
Yeah,
If you don't do things to benefit the long-term growth of your college football program, you end up with scary clowns.
it's true.
Yeah,
Well, actually, yeah, they already have a scary clown making that call.
yeah.
But
Speaking of scary clowns, the Colorado Buffaloes moved to 7-2 on the season.
Wow.
oh,
Well,
oh,
yes, transition
speaking
from
of things that aren't real.
Transitions for 100.
Colorado definitely going to a bowl game and still has an
Hey,
outside shot.
they're a contender. Just ask them.
They got a shot at the Big 12 here.
Yeah.
Could be. There's even talk of them sneaking into the playoff if they run the table somehow.
Uh-huh.
Well, but
Yeah. Enjoy your quick exit.
think about it.
Stage left.
Think about it. What is college football trying to do in the first year of a new television program, which is what the CFP 12 is?
Oh, you're conspiracy theorying again.
I am. Absolutely, I am.
You're giving them credit for being a whole lot smarter than they actually
No,
are.
no, no, no. I'm merely
Sir, I know
espousing,
smart, and there's nobody in Colorado that is smart.
I'm espousing a theory for being a television programmer and drawing eyes to a screen. Much like last year in determining what bowl game setups were going to be and who wasn't going to be in the Final Four and got blown out after having 1/4 of their roster decide they weren't going to play. You're in the first year of a new television program. You want Who Shot JR? You want that moment. You want the train wreck. You want folks drawn to it. So
Yeah.
don't be surprised. I'll say it right now. Don't be surprised if maybe somebody sneaks in at number 12 to play that 5-12 that's not Boise. Boise might be 11 by the time we're done. But just, maybe somebody sneaks in that might draw some eyes. Just saying, just putting it out there right now.
The path is not a guarantee. Colorado, after beating Texas Tech in Lubbock 41-27 this past Saturday, still has games against Utah and has to travel to Kansas, which we would have thought would have been easy games. I'm not so sure they will be. Then they finish up the season at Oklahoma State. That one will be an easy game. Oklahoma State is having a Florida State kind of season.
You're being too critical of Oklahoma State.
They haven't been much
Our
better.
season is
That's
ish.
hitting below the belt.
Our season is ish, sir. Oklahoma State, while they're below average, they're not ish.
They're pretty close to it. 0-7 in the conference, 3-7 overall. If the season ended right now, Colorado will be playing BYU for the Big 12 championship, guys.
Take the over.
Yeah, I want to see Colorado get in a playoff just to see them implode. Oh,
Getting in as the number 12 seed and playing, say a number 1 seed or something like that.
No, well, 1 through 4 get the first round bye. Remember that. So it is the 5-12.
Mm-hmm.
soon as stuff isn't going their way, man, there's gonna be more finger pointing than like the Salem witch trials.
Another good story in the top 25, Washington State. Part of the Tupac is 8-1 now, 5-0 at home, 5-0 at home this season. They down Utah State 49-28.
Well, Utah State came into the game 2-6, so I mean they took care of business. So that's the best you can say about what Washington State did to get to 8-1. They took care of business.
So no automatic bid for the Tupac champions.
Not at the moment, no.
Just in our hearts.
John's favorite team, the Army squad from Army, gets a win 14-3 over North Texas. Bryson Daly returns to carry the ball 36 times, $153 and a couple of touchdowns, leading Army to the win.
That was
And
I thought that score was gonna be a bit higher.
I thought so too.
I didn't have
Mhm.
much faith in UNT's defense, but their offense has been firing all year. I mean, they've been putting up what, like 400 yards a game. I thought
Bryce,
that would be
and
a
by the
bit
way,
higher.
passing, we always talk about the running numbers. The passing numbers for Bryson Daly, by the way, 2 of 14, 2 of 4, sorry. 2 of 4 passing, 15 yards. There was a pick in there, but nevertheless, it's like, okay, what is it Woody Hayes said? What is it Woody Hayes said, Marty, when you pass the football?
3 things can happen, and 2 of them are good.
One of those was a pick. 2 of 4 for 15 yards. You threw a pick. You ain't throwing another pass, son. So we're going to run the football for 293.
Mm-hmm. Guys, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but if you get a chance, you need to go looking at the YouTubes. Jacksonville State and Louisiana Tech, a game I probably wouldn't normally talk about, but I have to talk about it because at the buzzer, Jacksonville State comes back to tie Louisiana Tech on a 49-yard Hail Mary pass.
Mm-hmm.
It has a chance to win the game. All they have to do is convert the extra point. They missed. But then they scored in overtime. They get the win over Louisiana Tech 44-37. If you get a chance, watch that Hail Mary pass because it just makes you wonder, what were the defensive backs for Louisiana Tech thinking?
Or were they thinking?
Yeah. Quoting Tim Allen in Home Improvement. Huh?
They let the receiver get behind him, and Jacksonville State's quarterback just reared back and fired. Tyler Huff throwing the ball the full distance, and Cam Vaughn just basically snuck behind the defenders, took a couple step backwards, and boom, ball dropped right into his hands.
Get down. What? Look for the folks behind you. Knock it down. Knock it down.
It was a fun play.
Air. Knock it down. Knock it out of bounds. Off to the side. Figure out where the receiver is. Knock it down.
Or shove the receiver. It's only a 15-yard penalty.
Knock it down. Yeah, I mean, you eventually get the win, so you escape. You get to 6-3. So it's probably 5-0 in conference. You probably have the inside track to go to the pre-New Orleans Bowl. So keep an eye on that. But just knock the ball down. Find the receiver. Knock him down. Find the ball. Knock it down. Just knock it down.
And one last thing I'll talk about before we go to break here, guys. We talked a little bit earlier about Vanderbilt and the Fighting Diego Pavias.
Mm-hmm.
They hosted South Carolina, a team in a similar boat. South Carolina won easily, 28-7.
Pavia was injured, and you were kind of wondering what his status was going to be. But you know that Go Diego Go is going to want to play any chance he gets. So,
and what do you think about his lawsuit against the NCAA?
Yeah. So you got that going too. So we'll see what happens there. 16-31, 166, ran for another 65. But now you have Vandy at 6-4, South Carolina at 6-3, both bowl eligible, and Vandy's probably going to get a home game.
That wraps up our look at the college football scoreboard from week number 11. When we come back in the second half of the show, guys, we'll go to week 12. We'll talk about some of the big games going on as we inch closer to rivalry week and the end of the regular season. And of course, it's everybody's favorite segment. It's College Football on a Budget, where we talk about games that you could go see for roughly the price of a Coke or Pepsi, your drink of choice. All that and more when we return for the second half of the review. You are listening to the review on the OSG Sports College Podcasting Network. I was caught between college football and podcasting.
Both correct.
Please like and subscribe and take your time while pronouncing things.
Over here in the OSG Sports side of things, we talk football. Football. College football version here with the college football review every single week. But for those of you that like not just football with two O's, but football with a U, Futbol, there's the Soccer Down Here Network. I'm John Nelson. I host the morning show on Soccer Down Here along with Jarrett Smith, Nick Alifi, Jason Longshore. And if you're looking for the best information when it comes to the world of soccer, based in the southeastern United States, but we don't leave anything off the table. 9:05 Eastern time until 11 whenever. Sometimes we go for a while. SDH Network morning show, soccer's morning show, Monday through Friday, plus all the live events we do. It is your place and your source for soccer that is based in the Southeast, but covers everything on the world. SoccerDownHere.net, the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android through our friends at Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker, do a search for OSG Sports. Do a search for Soccer Down Here. All the soccer content all in one place. It is the SDH Network and Soccer Down Here.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody. You haven't made it to the second half of the show. It's the part where we talk about the upcoming week's games and, of course, college football on a budget. And, guys, there's a busy week ahead. Lots of ranked teams in action, some few rivalry games. So we'll go ahead and jump right in with arguably the make-or-break game for two teams in the SEC. Tennessee travels to Athens to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. The loser leaves town, or at least leaves the college football playoff. The winner at least has a chance.
Yeah. Get-in price, $332, by the way.
And I'm already hearing rumors that the Georgia fan base is talking about doing a blackout.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Something they really, if they need to put some thought into, because the last time they did that, it did not end well for them.
No.
Don't they lose
But if
when
they
wear
truly
those
do
jerseys?
go, if they truly do go retro and you bring Soulja Boy and you're wearing black, as they say in Latin class in high school, caveat emptor, buyer beware.
Yeah.
That means
I
someone
was
else
there
is going to get
very
arrested
first-
speeding this week, too.
Yeah, I was on the field the very first time that they tried to do this back in 2007 in a game against Auburn, and it worked.
Yeah, but that was Auburn.
It was a better version of Auburn.
Yes.
Nevertheless, it did work, and then they tried it again 1 year later against Alabama, and oh boy, did they pay for that.
That was commonly referred to as a bad idea.
It's an interesting matchup. Tennessee has the reputation for being a high-powered offense, and they've shown flashes of that this season. Georgia, I don't really know what to make of them. Do you?
No, but what Tennessee needs is a high-powered defense.
Yeah, I think that Georgia wins it. I think Tennessee covers. I don't know if they're going to get to a total, but I think that the further this gets to a game that is back and forth and isn't controlled, in a bubble, I think the more points that are scored, the more it will benefit Tennessee. I think the more controlled that this is, and Georgia's defense takes control of the Tennessee offense, I think it benefits Georgia. So
Yeah.
that's my indicator here. I think Georgia wins, so I don't think they get to the total because of Georgia's defense. So I think that Georgia takes care of business. It'll be a tight game. There'll be gnashing of teeth and biting of fingernails, but I think Georgia gets it done.
Yeah, I think Georgia comes in angry and takes it, but not by a lot.
Yeah, it's not the same Georgia team that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years. There's something missing for them on offense, and I'm not sure what it is. I don't know if it's the lack of a go-to wide receiver. I don't know if it's a lack of Carson
I think
Beck.
your peanut gallery had it right on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get your
Carson Beck seems to have regressed as a quarterback.
So Chris Ricks, Reggie Ball, and Carson Beck.
Hey, Georgia's used to winning without great quarterback play.
Mm-hmm. But I think Carson Beck at times wants to be more than the game manager. And when he goes outside of that ID, that's when Georgia gets in trouble.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you got to
And you
understand
want
the
and you
yard.
force and you force Carson Beck in the passing game to beat you. You stop the run, like what happened against Ole Miss. Carson Beck is the option to try to beat you. And I think that I take that bet, obviously, if I'm Tennessee.
Yeah. And we've
Just
said that
me.
about a few quarterbacks over the course of the season, but I think this might
Check.
be your shining example.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be an interesting matchup. That one, a 7:30 kickoff on ABC, your game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Some other interesting matchups going into the week. Definitely not the Mercer Alabama game.
Oh, come on.
It's not the last week of the season already, is it?
No, it's homecoming week for a lot of folks.
Nah,
As
Uh,
evidenced by football on a budget.
undefeated out of conference.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, gosh, there really aren't a whole lot of games other than a few of the rivalry games. Kansas comes off their big win over Iowa State and travels to Provo to take on Utah. A late game on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
That could be interesting. Um, Sheesh.
See, he's fighting it. He's trying to find stuff on homecoming week and senior day. Look, if it ain't there, it ain't there. I mean, look,
Last
you
week, Clemson versus Pitt would have been an interesting game. Was had Pitt not lost the last two games in decisive fashion. I guess really we talked about it in the first half of the show. Utah traveling to Boulder to take on Colorado in November.
it's just
Um, it's
mm,
an average Utah team
yeah,
going
yeah.
against
It's a young
Colorado
quarterback.
flashes.
Yeah, young, inexperienced quarterback trying to learn with on-the-job training and going to Folsom Field. It's going to be a tough one, and I mean, I don't see this going Utah's way by the time we talk about it, but um, yeah, it'll be just another reason for folks to get mad because it's a noon kick Eastern time. So that means it's a 10 a.m. kick at Folsom Field. And I imagine that there will be some folks in the Mountain Time Zone that will kvetch and complain.
Mhm.
Get in prices $155 at Folsom Field to see something at 10 o'clock in the morning. So it's breakfast,
Nothing
it's
like missing out on
football.
tailgating.
Yeah. And so your tailgating is dinner tailgating as opposed to the mimosas and the mock and the cocktails. Mocktails? Who am I kidding? But no, it's mimosas in the morning, and then you got a game at 10 a.m. So your lunch ends up being your tailgate.
I looked down the schedule here. Yeah.
You're hurting, aren't you?
Yeah, based on reputation, you would think Oregon traveling to Madison to take on Wisconsin would be a big deal. It's not because
No,
Wisconsin is not that good,
no,
and Oregon is.
yeah.
Thing with Ohio State traveling to Northwestern.
Oh, they're not going to Northwestern. They're going to a baseball field.
Wrigley Field.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more worried about the field than the team they're playing on it.
So
Yeah,
do you think they end up doing what they've done in the past, where if somebody gets to the 20, they flip it?
I'm more worried about somebody running into a wall.
yeah. And
That's
if
what
I'm
I'm saying. You get to the 20-yard line and then you flip to the open end where you don't run into that wall.
I think if I'm the athletic director, I'm rethinking the logic behind playing the game there.
Well, I mean, your temporary facility, which really needs to be your permanent facility because of what they've done, and it's gorgeous. It's a great idea right there on the lakefront. I get the idea of playing at Wrigley. I get the whole kitschy bit. I get it. But I think you found your home and you built it out of necessity instead of the $800 million facility that you're going to build, thinking that you can have games like this at your new barn when it's built. Go to your old barn. And like I said, I get playing at Wrigley, but no, I just something's going to happen and it ain't going to be funny.
Yeah.
And here's a competitive game that should, at least in theory, be competitive. Missouri Tigers travel to Williams-Brice Stadium to take on South Carolina, two teams that are pretty close, I would say, at least, to being evenly matched.
Yeah.
Both playing well as of late. I think that's going to be a good game.
Get-in price is $77 at the fairgrounds. I'm gonna tell you what,
Not bad.
I think South Carolina comes up and bites them again. I think so.
Yeah, that's I've said it before. That is a tough place to play a football game. For a visiting team, it's a small field that barely fits inside the stadium, and it feels like that everybody in that stadium is on top
And
of you because
don't
of the
forget
way.
about that big Gamecock energy.
Hey,
Yeah,
now.
yeah, absolutely true. And they don't have to worry about the hedge in the end zone.
Yeah, it's gone.
All gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Game over.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't really see a whole lot here that sounds a whole lot more interesting than what we've already talked about, we'll go ahead and move on to everybody's favorite segment. It's college football on a budget. It's where we look at the games that you could go to for the price of a soda or a soft drink or a drink of your choice and see some college football in a place that you probably would not normally consider going to.
Check.
And since we've got another full week of games starting on Tuesday night, we go to Maction, the Maction Tuesday games, Western Michigan at Bowling Green, 7 o'clock kickoff at Deutsch Perry Stadium in Bowling Green. You're getting price for that one, $8.
Was this one of the stadia where J-Dub got in trouble?
I believe it was.
Ooh.
We haven't been to Deutsch Perry this year.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have little pictures of the our little milk carton. I'm gonna put them in random places all around
See,
that
there you
stadium.
go. Where's J-Dub? And I think that like I said, we haven't been to Deutsch Perry this year. And so because of that alone, I'm going ding. If you've been independent of what we've been talking about, good on you. But no, we haven't been this year, so it's a ding for me.
We need to put Dub on the X to find out the story.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely true. We do.
Special X report.
Yes.
The
Absolutely.
trick is getting him to actually be there.
True. Yeah.
Your other discount game on a Tuesday night, Central Michigan at Toledo. Get him priced $9 at the Glass Bowl in Toledo.
Yes. Anything
Yeah,
having to do with
I'm in.
pottery. I'm in.
I also want to go to the post game press conference and ask them who that guy was in the sunglasses.
Yeah, the never-ending question for you. Moving on to Wednesday action. Kent State travels to Oxford, Ohio to take on the Miami of Ohio Redbirds. You're getting price at Yager Stadium, $7.
Oh,
But does this mean if
drinking Jaeger at Jaeger? Yes.
I was going to say, so does this mean that if Miami of Ohio loses, it's a Jaeger bomb?
Ooh.
Yes,
Ding.
that.
Mr. Old Logo.
Yeah, Oxford, Ohio is a pretty town, especially this time of year. Definitely a game worth going to.
Ding.
Also, a full slate of Wednesday budget games. Akron travels to Northern Illinois on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Get in price $9 at Husky Stadium in beautiful DeKalb, Illinois.
It's
I've gone.
DeKalb.
I'm going to pass.
It's DeKalb in Illinois. And have we been to Husky? I think we've been to Husky already this year. So
for
it's
half the price, I think.
Yeah, it's a tink for me. It's a,
Might pass on
if you've been, it's a, if you haven't been, it's a ding.
Yeah, there's some other options here, so I'm gonna pass on that one too. And your third game on Wednesday night, Eastern Michigan travels to Athens, Ohio to take on Ohio. Get in price for that one, a 7 o'clock kickoff, $5 at Payton Stadium.
Ding.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That place is beautiful, especially this time of year.
There you go.
Moving on, your Thursday game, they might be paying us to go before this one's all said and done. East Carolina travels to Tulsa to take on the Golden Hurricane. You're getting price at Chapman Stadium, $2.
I want my $2.
I'm buying my own section.
Yes, absolutely true.
Bring
And
a couple friends.
if it wasn't for the ticket surcharges, we would help out Tulsa and send folks to go watch the game that haven't had the chance to see a Tulsa college football game this year.
It's Veterans Day this week. Buy $50 worth, donate them to Vet Tix.
Yes.
There you go.
We're all
Absolutely
in.
true. Mm-hmm.
Moving on to Friday. North Texas travels to San Antonio to take on UTSA at the Alamo Dome. You get in price for that 8 o'clock kickoff, $10.
Don't dive in the
Yeah.
creek. Don't dive in the river.
Yes. Stay away from the Riverwalk. You're going to end up with
Yes.
pink eye.
Ding.
I'm going to ding that one.
It's going to be hard to beat the price of this other Friday night matchup. Houston travels to Tucson to take on Arizona. You're getting price at Arizona Stadium, $4.
Ding. Ding, ding, ding.
I'm in.
That's a bargain.
Truth.
10:15 Eastern kick.
Hey,
Ooh.
your high school game ended in Arizona. You go over to, if you're in Tucson, you go over to Husky Stadium and drop a dime.
Yeah. Ooh, got a little Big Ten action making the list this week.
Uh-oh.
Saturday afternoon, Penn State travels to Ross-Age Stadium in beautiful West Lafayette, Indiana, to take on Purdue. You're getting price there, $10.
Ding. And this would be that game, Marty, that you're talking about. This would fit that situation where Purdue comes up and bites somebody at home. This would fit that.
And
That stadium's awful. I haven't been there in a long time, but I don't know if they've improved those bathrooms.
And Penn State is a team that's notorious for getting bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, get where John's coming from here. It would be an interesting one to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State prefers to get bit in a big game, though.
True. The next game, however, is not an interesting game to go to.
No, and there's a reason why it's on the list.
Uh-huh.
UL Monroe travels to Auburn to take on the Auburn Tigers, a 12:45 kickoff. You're getting price at Jordan Hare Stadium,
Jordan here.
$5.
I'm going because it's date night. If you don't have to go, don't go. The boss is not optimistic about Louisiana Monroe in this one.
I'm going just so I can sit behind Patty and just pat her on the back and say it's going to be okay.
I would say if you've
'Cause I'm a
not
good friend.
been to a game at Jordan Hare Stadium, this
Jordan
is your
Hare.
opportunity, just for the simple fact that it's a cool place to go watch football.
True.
This is your opportunity to get in there for a low price. It might be
Mhm.
worth the trip for you.
Just
Mhm.
remember, the team might suck, but the band's still pretty good.
Correct.
And it makes it worth it right there. Moving on down the list, Florida Atlantic traveling to the Link to take on Temple at Lincoln Financial Field. You're getting price for that one right now, 1 week away, $9.
I'm going just because I got family in the game.
Yeah, see, you can do that. I'm not. You can have my ticket.
I'm going to have to call my brother after the podcast, let him know it's cheap to go see him.
There you go.
Yeah. Speaking of
Cheap.
discount Big Ten football, Michigan State travels to Illinois. You're getting price for that 2:30 p.m. kickoff at Memorial Stadium in Champaign right now is at $6.
I'll buy that one.
I'm not. It's champagne, thank you, ma'am. No, it is not a
Champagne breakfast, Champagne, Illinois. Let's go.
It is not a champagne jam out there at Michigan State and Illinois. That's going to be some difficult football.
The list continues. Hawaii traveling to Utah State not for your late game, for an early afternoon 3 p.m. kickoff Eastern time. That's roughly noon at Maverick Stadium in Logan, Utah. You're getting price for that one right now, $8.
And ding, we haven't been to Maverick this year, I don't think.
We've talked about it.
So yeah. So if you haven't, and this also is a chance to see what's going on at Hawaii and their rebuild. So go to Maverick. Just ask Goose about it.
This one barely qualifies, but we'll go ahead and count them. It's the All Coast Conference. Louisville Cardinals taking on the Stanford Cardinal at Stanford Stadium in Stanford, California. You're getting price for a 3:30 Eastern kickoff there, $11.
Nope. That is an ordinal number, and I have no interest. That's a prime number, and I have no interest.
I might buy that at half the price, but not at 11.
Yeah, we'll check on the review and see if the price has changed on the X. I mean,
yeah, I'm only mentioning this game. It's kind of a little bit above our normal threshold for tickets, but I'm mentioning it because I'll actually be at this game.
Oh yeah.
Troy traveling to beautiful Statesboro to take on the Georgia Southern Eagles. You're getting priced for that one. At the low end is $14. I think we paid more than that for our tickets. Um, I will file a report from that game too, just because I'm there.
There you go.
Yes.
4 o'clock kickoff in the borough. It's our yearly chance to catch up with some old friends. Always a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a chance to catch some good college football action in the prettiest little stadium in America, Allen E. Paulson.
Have fun. File for us. Let us know what's going on and walk across the Veterans Memorial Parkway and check in on our friends at Tormenta while you're there.
And now moving back to some Big Ten football in a game with a time that's technically listed as to be determined.
Aren't we all?
Rutgers at Maryland. Right now, you're getting priced at SECU Stadium in College Park, Maryland. $3.
Nope.
I'm
No
gonna
chance.
buy just so I visit my brother and we go to a game.
Yeah. See, you have an ulterior motive. For me, it's a nope.
Yeah, the other part of that though is you have to figure out what time the game's going to be because
That's true. You have to be available. Basically, they come to you. It's like, what time would you like for us to start?
The Big Ten is on. I think the Big Ten is the number of networks that they're on,
Correct.
and you never know what week to week. Like if you want to make a trip somewhere to see a game, you've got no idea if you're showing up on game day what time your flight needs to be. That's getting
True.
old.
Yes.
And I'll mention one last game here before we kind of wrap things up with the big games, the Division I games. UAB at Memphis, 8 o'clock kickoff at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium in Memphis.
Liberty Bowl.
Price for that one, $12. It's a little bit on the high end for college football on a budget.
Too rich
But
for my blood.
Go to Memphis, eat some barbecue.
Get some good breakfasts.
I live in Texas, sir. I have plenty of good barbecue.
There you go.
Shout out to my boys at Rudy's.
Chance to go see Elvis's home.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's like breakfast. Breakfast for me.
It's a decent trip. I might be interested in that one. Half of a ding.
It would be a dong, sir.
So is it a dong or a di?
It's a half ding.
But
Okay,
I digress.
attaboy.
Moving on to your smaller college football games.
We have one in 1AA.
Which one is it? I'm going down the list here.
Southern Illinois at South Dakota State. You get to check in on the Jacks at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Get in price at Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium in Brookings, South Dakota. $5.
That's a playoff team. Yep.
Ding.
Yeah, that would work.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah, well, that's quality football.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And there you go.
That is all of our budget games, everybody.
Correct.
Yeah, we have made it down the list. Really not that much else going on to talk about, guys. We talked about Diego suing the NCAA, Billy Napier getting a chance to return at Florida.
Dreaded vote of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
If the rest
United buyout clause.
but despite getting smoked this week by Texas, Napier's thankful for a chance to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I still have a job. I can't believe it.
Hey, he's getting a paycheck and he's getting the one more year to figure out. My guess is what happens in Gainesville is that this is the year that the coordinators have to change. And it's the moving of the deck chairs. And then if things go wrong at this point next season, and it's no different, then that means it'll be the end.
Yes.
One more year. One more year.
Speaking of the end, special shout out and throwing out the heart of love, Ben Herbstreit, Kirk Herbstreit's golden retriever dog, had to be put out of his misery this week. Ben, known for traveling with Kirk to his games all across the country for game day and for the game of the week. accompanied him everywhere. And if you've ever had a golden retriever, you know how loyal they are and how they want to be wherever you are at all times and are everybody's friends.
Mhm.
And Ben passed away this week. Great tribute that they did for him on game day. Really appreciate the fact that they did that and took the
Yeah.
time out.
The only watchable part of that show.
Yeah, and Peter took over the watch for the Golden Retrievers for the Herb Street clan. Peter's got a little bit more wanderlust in him than Ben does. Than Ben does. So be interesting to see if Peter can figure out how to navigate the set or just kind of hang out with his dad. We'll see how that evolves as the season goes along.
Still a better announcer than Des.
Peter,
Any dog.
Yes, but that's a separate conversation.
Let me see. He's going to pick Michigan and pick against Ohio State and say something stupid. We're into it. Saban even is called him out on that multiple times already this season.
Good.
Yeah, I enjoyed Nick Saban on that show. He's actually good.
Yeah, when you have Idgaf Nick Saban as an on camera talent, it's been a fun watch to see him this year, not take any ish from anybody.
Yeah, he comes across incredibly likable, and of course he knows the game and is able to break it down extremely well. Makes that show a little bit more watchable.
Still
And
don't
now,
watch it though.
yeah, if they could only make Pat McAfee go away,
Still don't watch
yeah, but that's not going to happen.
it. No.
All right, let's put a wrap on the college football weekend that was and look ahead to the weekend that will be. Make sure you tune in midweek, the College Football X. John, any idea who's going to be on that show for some interviews and insight?
Wilkie.
Besides Wilkie, he's your co-host. Of course, he's going to be there.
We hadn't thought that far ahead yet. You're asking me early on a Sunday morning as we're taping what a midweek show is going to look like. Come on now. Snap out of it.
I'm tossing you a softball promo here, dude.
Yeah, it's a midweek. So the College Football X on all the OSG platforms, Wednesday night, Thursday morning. We update college football on a budget. We take the tour and try and find some of the stories in the other divisions as well that you might have missed for the week. We might even check in on Jacksonville State.
That would be a good one. Coached by the legendary Rich Rodriguez.
Rich Rod.
He still lives. Okay, guys, time to wrap it up.
Yeah, I got to catch a plane.
Get John out of here.
All right. For OSG Nelson, for Brother Marty, I am Brother Phil. We are part of the OSG Sports college football team. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great college football week. We will see you again soon.
You usually say bye-bye.
I know.
Bye-bye.
Please like and subscribe.